What's up guys? Welcome to part 6 of Road to World Record. In this video I'm going to be going over my PB mean of 3, which I got somewhere in between the mean in my last video, the 21.6, and the mean that I got just before my world record, which will be the last video in this series. So this was a very, very good mean of 3 for me. It also shows my tied PB single at the time of recording this. I won't spoil what the mean ended up being until the very end, but I will say that the first solve of this mean was a 19. And 19 is not my PB single, so that probably gives you an idea of what's to come. To start off, we'll go over the 19. So for this scramble, I did white front EO. This is what it looks like on normal. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bad edges. And what I did was I did a U move on normal to give 4 bad, which you can see here. And it's actually 2 more moves to EO, but I did not use this 3 move EO. I instead switched after the U, and now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 bad edges here. This can be done a bunch of different ways. The way I did in the solve was I did R2, F2, and then D to give me a 4 move EO. There was no DR triggers from the start, but what I saw was you can do an R turn, and in the solve I actually did R prime, but that won't matter until later, and this gives me DR minus 4C4E. And it's not a terrible case on this side of the scramble, but what I did was I switched back to normal, and it gave me a much better case. We have this pair here, and just due to the nature of the case, when you have these two E-slice edges either adjacent like so or adjacent here, and you have another kind of like L shape of the corners with like a fake pair that can sit on top of the build pair, you know that this case can be done very efficiently. This is basically all of the components for a 4 mover. So to set up the 4 mover, I did a B, like so, and that just moves this pair over here and sets this corner up to make a pair here. You then do L2, F prime, U2, and in the solve I did an R, and this gave me a 10 move DR with 1/4 turn HTR subset. But the 4C4E case was not good on this side of the scramble, so I switched. And again, that R prime, the reason I did that is just because it makes it 1 more move to HTR. You just do an F prime and it's 11 moves to HTR. So once I found this, the vast majority of the rest of the attempt was simply looking for a way to finish the cube. Obviously the domino layers are F and B, and we could potentially do double slice with the R and L layers. And truthfully, it's kind of hard to explain my first few moves because I do believe I was just doing a lot of brute forcing, like trying every possible like first 1 to 2 moves. In the end, I did a D2 for some reason, and then L2. And then at this point, I saw that it looks like something that's close to a floppy reduction case. Like if you just insert this bar here, it might be like the R2, F2, R2 case. So I did F2 and then U2, and then surely enough I was right. And you can just do a simple R2, D2, R2, F2 to solve the cube. So that gave me a 19, and again that finish, the longer half-turn finishes often come with a lot of just brute forcing, trying everything you possibly can, and then just seeing if something gives you a case that looks close to something you're a bit more familiar with. So there you go, that was the 19 for solve 1. We'll now move on to solve number 2. For solve number 2, I got an 18, which is tied for my PB single. I believe at the time of recording this I've gotten 3 18s at home, and this is one of them. And this was the only one that was actually part of a very, very good mean, given the previous 19. So for this one, I again did white front axis. I started off on the inverse scramble. We have 1, 2, 3, 6 bad edges, and I saw you can get a 4 move EO by starting with a U, since 3 of these are white, and there's this one here which will kind of be nudged in between the 3 white edges. In the solve, I did U prime, and then switched back to normal, and we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, and this can be done in 3 more moves 2 different ways. The way I did it was F, R, and then U, and this instantly gave me DR minus 4 corners and 4 edges on this particular axis, but it didn't look so crash hot on this side of the scramble. So I switched, and by doing a U prime, you have 4 more moves to DR with just like F, L2 U2R, or F, R2 D2R. You just kind of put these pairs on top of each other, and you can sort of see with the headlight formation that that would work. You can also change the U prime to a U, and you get a different 8 move DR with like R2, D2, etc. I actually was not able to find much off of those 8 move DRs. I think the best I got was like a safety 21. So what I ended up doing was after U prime I did L2 to sort of set up a similar case, and I made this column with U2 and then R2 and then B prime and then R. So this gave me a 9 move DR, and this was 2 quarter turn corner 4C 2E, and I was able to find the rest of the solution on this side of the scramble. Obviously, since I got an 18, you know that it's a very short finish from the DR. What I did was I saw that the corners in their current state were not prime for HTR, because it gives me fake HTR if I just like orient the corners. So that means you need to put 3 on one side and then do an F2 to fix that. And then from here, just to kind of pair all the blocks, I did R2, U2, and speaking of blocks, you can already see a few forming. And then from here, there's 2 ways to do the trigger. I did B prime, D2, B. And as you can kind of see, you don't even really, like if you do the wrong trigger, you can find this solution and then rewrite later, but I didn't need to. I just saw that the cube was 3 more moves from being solved without even needing to do a rewrite. So that gave me an 18 for a 1918 start. And if you do the math, you probably know that I only need a 22 or better on the next one to get a sub 20 mean of 3. Will I do it? Find out in like 2 minutes. Alright, so solve number 3. So this one is pretty easy to explain. I'll be honest, the solution for this one's kind of silly. And I'll just say now, I got a 21. So the mean of 3 was 19.33. Later on in the attempt, I found a different 21 that is a lot less stupid and luck-based, but this is just what I found first. So I'm just going to show this one because it's easy to show. It's all on normal and just has 1 rewrite, which is what this cube here is for. So for this one, I did orange front axis, and it was 6 bad edges, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is a case that can be done in 4 moves. There's only 1 way to do it in 4 moves. So naturally, this was one of the first EOs I checked. You just do R prime to orient, or rather reduce to 4 bad, and do F, B2, L prime. There was no DR trigger in sight, but after a bit of looking, I saw on this kind of axis you can do B prime and then D to give DR minus 4 corners, 4 edges. We have these 2 pairs here, and this is just like another one of those cases, sort of similar to the previous 2, where it has all of the components necessary to be a 4 mover once you've done some like AUF style adjustments. In order to do those adjustments, I needed to do a B and then an F turn to just put the blocks in the right places. From here I can now make the column with D2, and then the next column with R2, and then B prime, and then in the solve I did D prime. So this is a 12 move DR. 12 move DRs really are not that good and not something I would normally check. However, on this scramble, I think for one I might have been a little bit nervous, and the other thing was the scramble didn't seem very good. I think this was one of the only 4 move EOs, so I was willing to at least check stuff that was a bit longer. Like I didn't initially write this down, I just kind of did the moves on the cube. But when I did them, I saw it was again 1 quarter turn HTR subset. So it was 4C, 4E and 1 quarter turn corners. So naturally I solved this, went back, and then the next time I tried it I actually wrote down all of the moves. And here I found the rest of the solution on normal. I see these 2 pairs here. I see that you can sort of attach these headlights to make 2 columns. You can either do U2 or D2 due to the placement of these edges. I did U2, R2, And then to put everything together, just F2, D2, and then F prime. And to finish off the domino layers, it's pretty simple. You can just see it's just L2, R2, and then D2. So that gave me leave slice in 20, which I knew like was very, very likely to at least give me a 22 and clutch the sub 20, and potentially give me as low as a 20, which would have given me, I think, one move off of UWR, because UWR is 18.6 by Tommy Capriles. Anyways, I backtracked through the like leave slice skeleton, and at the portion where it's after the first move of the H-chow line, so again the H-chow was like U2, R2, F2, D2, F prime. After the U2, the cube looks like this, and we kind of have this fish shape, which I personally know is one that can be done multiple different ways. You can either put this bar in and then finish the domino layers, or you can put this bar in and finish the domino layers. And in this particular case, I saw that doing the alternative solution of B2, U2 left a finish that was only one move longer than my leave slice skeleton. So that gave me a 21. That was optimal from the DR, and that was another 9-move finish from the DR. I think all three of these solutions were actually 9-move finishes from the DR, because the first one was a 10-move DR, the second one was a 9-move DR, and this was a 12-move DR. So kind of funny how that works out. But anyways, that's my PB mean of 3. Still currently, both of my PBs are 19.3 and 18 at the time of recording this video. I would like to at least improve the single in the future, but I'm honestly very happy with this mean for the foreseeable future. So that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the final part of this Road to World Record series.